Thank you all for coming here today first. So we have gathered here for the Rubanomicx Approach. The Rubanomicx term is rural-urban economics. So it is basically designing for the rural consumer experiences. So Mr. Madan Padaki is here to address today's event. Before we jump into the end, a few announcements. So I'll make it short. One is we'll send out February's calendar today. Please check out what the events are lined up to. The next is we have revamped our website. So you can check our website, so every detail about Tyson is out there, and we are very active in social media, so you can reach out to us anywhere. The third is we have kept our mentoring platform online. It's very active out there, so you can pick and choose a mentor of your own choice regarding your requirements, and the request will come to us and we'll facilitate the request within a few minutes. Then you can meet your mentor. And the fourth one is, so every last Tuesday of the month, we are having our investment partners, the CHENNAI Angels team, coming to our office, and they'll fix a half-an-hour slot with each and every one of the members, and this is exclusive to our members. So you can get your queries, any queries about funding answered. So if you have any specific requirement about seed or angel investment, you'll be put in a half-an-hour slot. Or if you have any general queries about funding, or if you have any further plans for funding, we have a separate slot for that. So please do check out our events. Now, without any further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Chandu Nair, our charter member, to introduce the speaker.
Thanks, Badri, and good evening, three ladies and the rest of you gentlemen. Today, we hope that the talk will eclipse the event outside. We have a once-in-a-blue moon thing happening outside. 6:12, I think it starts. So if any of you are interested, you can probably see it maybe on your mobile phone. But if you do that, you will miss out on an exciting opportunity to listen to one of the people I know who has been focusing on the rural sector for quite a while. So Madan Padaki here, a very interesting entrepreneur in one sense, a serial entrepreneur truly. He has worked after he finished his BE from National Institute of Engineering in Mysore. He then went on to do his MBA from SP Jain in Bombay. And he worked for 4 years in some of the big companies in IT, which is Wipro, Infi, and Emphasis, before the entrepreneurial bug bit him. And he started probably at that time what was India's first assessment company, Merit Track. And he was also among the early guys to get funding in a niche business, because that time was the days of still software services. It was post the dot-com bust. So it was a very difficult time relatively to get funding, 2003, 2004, 2005. Little challenging to get funding, and he managed to get at that time 4 million from HSBC. So, and then by the time after a few years after scaling the business, today I think by now Merit Track has done more than 40 million assessments of people. And when he left the company, exited, it was 70 crores. Today the company has almost doubled to 130 crores in terms of revenues, just doing assessments. So it's an interesting line that he took. Now he then moved, I think after doing that exit, to deciding how to help rural youth. And with that thing in mind, two things he did, I would say. One is to help rural youth. He started Head Held High, which is to train rural youth in many ways. I've seen a couple of videos earlier. He actually made a presentation at TIE where a boy who knew nothing about English, after 9 months delivers a full-blown speech, totally in English. I mean, it was like very good, you know, that was really fantastic. You saw that video, that same boy in a period of about 9 months actually transforming this, doing a full speech in English and improving his confidence in multiple ways. So that was one thing that he did, and the Head Held High, which was formed with the view to train rural youth, has now morphed into being one bridge, which is to develop village level entrepreneurs. A challenging task. Many people have tried it in the past, but I think today with the amalgamation and marriage of technology with the couple of government schemes like the PMDJY, the Prime Minister's Jandan Yojana, PMJDY, the Prime Minister Jandan Yojana, financial inclusion plus mobility plus I think aspirations and plus of course the lack of jobs generally. So has created a new opportunity for one bridge. The other thing that he does, because I know his other partner as well, Mr. Anand Sudarshan, who was earlier chairman of Manipal Group, is on the area of education, where they incubate, mentor, invest in and also act as operating partners in education-related companies. They have one or two companies in Chennai too. I think one of them is called Little More, which is their investee company, and they do a lot of heavy lifting with those companies. So anybody who's interested in the area of education, Sylvant Advisors is the name of the outfit that he runs along with a couple of other partners. That's the thing to do. But today the focus is on how to use village level entrepreneurs to create a rural marketing network that can transform the way we look at the rural markets. So with these few words, may I welcome Madan onto the stage and let us know more about Rubanomicx.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the introduction, and coming from a friend like Chandu matters a lot in terms of the way he's been able to see our journey so far. Again, when we fixed the date, we did not realize that we'd be doing it bang in the middle of the Chandra Grahana. So I thank all of you for coming here to watch the half moon than the full moon outside. And the idea is to also keep it very interactive, given that I want to share some of my experiences, learnings, get to learn from your perspectives as well, and figure out, again, I always take away that somebody told it beautifully, that entrepreneurship is all about serendipity and conversations, right? So it is serendipitous that we've got together today, right? All of you responded to an email or a tweet sent by CHENNAI, you landed up here. We'll have a conversation, and I firmly believe that everything else that's happened in my life so far, if I trace the journey, all started out like this. You meet somebody, you have a chat, you connect the dots, and you start working together. So I look at this opportunity as well to figure out what dots can we connect as we go along. Before I begin, I have two sets of presentations. One is the something that changed my life, that Chandu was talking about, of a transformation program we did 10 years ago, where we realized that that many of our worldview of education, of employability is totally wrong. And I come from that space where I was testing people for a living. And this experience taught me that tests are meaningless. Of course, it serves a purpose. But per se, to look at human potential, it's really meaningless to test somebody, because the potential exists in anybody. So I'll talk about that a bit, and then switch over to what we're doing at OneBridge, which is the manifestation, which is the other side of the same coin. What I believe is that you can't skill people, you can't make them employable without generating employment. Right? And generating employment without skilling, again, is meaningless. Unfortunately, with the skills thing that we've done in the country so far, it's been largely looked at, let's skill people and then figure out what they have to do. But without figuring out what they have to do, we're just getting a bunch of people who are technically skilled, but there are no jobs going around. So that's what I try to solve through OneBridge. Before I begin, what I want to hear is some voices from you guys saying, hey, you decided to spend 2 hours on a wonderful evening here. What is it that drew you to this evening? Right? What is it that you want to discuss, hear, listen, share, so that I could actually emphasize on those points and have a conversation more on that going forward? So love to get some feedback.
Please don't mind, let's look at the first page first. Then
Done.
we'll
Okay.
later.
Sure. Okay.
That's my view.
Perfect. So if I can hear some voices, I will keep it very interactive. I mean,
I'd love to know more about the mistakes you've made.
mistakes I've made as an entrepreneur. Okay. That can go on for many hours.
The night is young.
No, I actually met you 10 years back when I started my journey as an IT guy. So
Okay.
you were my mentor for one of my pitches that I was doing for IIFM in Bangalore. I just spoke to you for 10 minutes and you just gave me a highlight. I never knew, I never seen you. And from there on, that was in 2008. Now I've seen you building so many. In fact, today when you tweeted, that's how I ended up here. On LinkedIn, you tweeted about this
cool.
event.
Okay.
So that's how I ended
Oh,
up.
thank you. Thank you for making it.
So I think somewhere I love to share that passion of education thing with you. So.
Lovely. Wonderful.
So I would like to hear stuff about rural economics and rural.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
One thing which I'd like to know is the misconceptions that people
Of
have
rural.
about rural markets
Absolutely.
and consumers,
Absolutely.
and the lack or perceived lack of infrastructure.
Correct.
And that's changing in my view,
Yes.
but I'd like to hear more
Sure.
about that.
So you got recent statistics like only 38% have this access to internet and
Right.
technology. Whereas 62% is primarily covering rural area are not connected.
Mm.
And I worked on something on healthcare side.
Okay.
Primarily on dietary stuff. So you have a lot of stunted children, anemic women, and mostly coming from rural area. And how do we connect? What are the areas that we can
Sure.
How can you cut down schooling?
How can we cut down schooling? Absolutely.
Having a portfolio of companies and having gone through some difficult experiences in terms of being able to tap into talent that are not really employment ready when they come out of schools. We have begun an initiative to see if we can tap into this rural talent and nothing against formal education,
Right.
but we have found that to be very much lacking
Yeah.
in terms of what we
Yeah.
need as a
Yeah.
coach. So the theory is, spark them young, even if they're from high school, give them the necessary training that we spend a lot of
Right.
time and effort in.
Right.
Do it at that level and promise them and actually deliver on what they can achieve from industry and let that become a career without even having to worry about having a degree. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, whether it is a pipe dream or it is actually it will actually work
Sure.
or not is a question
Sure.
because we are trying to make some decisions on investments.
Right.
Maybe 4 or 5 areas around the country where we can put some significant dollars and rupees in.
Sure.
And what we don't know is all the gotchas. Or there's some issues that we need to be aware
Sure.
of. So that's a perspective I would like to understand
Sure.
from an investment standpoint.
Sure, sure. And I'll also allude there, it's not there in the presentation, we'll talk about it. I did some very interesting work on the future of jobs. And what does the future of work itself look like 10 years hence? And therefore, as a group of entrepreneurs, what should we be prepared for? So we'll touch upon that. Great, so, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Something that I'd like to understand is what is it that drives them? For example, I think in urban cities, our drive is probably different. The society satisfaction, whatever. What drives them? What is the key driving
Sure.
factor to get into things?
Sure.
What will motivate them?
Probably.
Okay, one more thing, Madan, is one of the things that keeps roiling India is the issue of caste, community,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I know it plays a huge role. How much does it impact an initiative like this?
Sure. Okay. I was very scared of that. Happy to report that that's not touched it. We'll talk about that.
The thing is empowering the rural people
Yeah.
to contribute to the rural economics and get a benefit out of it. There is a sad state of affairs in places like Shivakasi and Tirupur. The contribution is excellent, but still the actual people are not benefiting.
Benefit is not coming up. Yeah.
Anything on, like, you can touch upon agriculture side?
Agriculture side, absolutely. Okay. Great. So what we'll do, I think we have a good bunch of questions. Let's keep it coming, and I'll quickly walk you through some of the experiences that shaped my thinking, and then move to the One Bridge side where we'll address how it impacts the economy side of things. Essentially, as you know, you can never take a test out of a testing person's. You can take the guy out of the testing industry, but you'll never take the test. So I begin with the quiz, just to set the framework, right?
180
answer.
million,
Huh?
180 to 200 million jobs.
Jobs, right?
Next
So
15, 20 years.
I think that's the unequivocal answer that I arrive at, saying I think jobs is the single biggest challenge we'll face. In the next 20, 25 years, apparently we will add 280 million, the population of US almost, to the workforce in the next 25 years, right? Where are the jobs going to come from? Despite all the noises we hear in the last few weeks, you must have heard that, oh, we've created 7 million jobs, whereas one report says just 400,000. It's all numbers. You know, somebody said, if you torture data well enough, it will confess to almost anything. So many times on both extremes there are torturing of data. But the reality that I see on the ground is that there are not enough jobs to go around, right? And there's a mismatch. On one hand, you talk to HR heads who say, you know what, I need 3,000 people to work in my retail stores, nobody is ready to come, which is also true. And there are youth in the villages who say, sir, where are the opportunities, right? I don't have a job. Right? So there is a conundrum there of a matching issue that arises. So that's the part. And I will also call it as, I don't like the word livelihoods. A lot of us use livelihoods, right? The issue is when I and you go for a job, let's say I'm applying to IBM, I don't go and say, sir, give me a livelihood. I'll say, boss, I want a career. Tell me how much increment I'll get next year. Can I be a GM in 5 years? Right? Can I get stock options in the company? Right? Can I take a shot at being the CEO of IBM? Does it allow me to do that, right? I don't go and say, somehow give me roti, kapda, makan, I'm happy. Livelihoods means that, right? So we need to look at sustainable incomes or sustainable livelihoods rather than just livelihoods. Estimated size of workforce in India today, how many million people roughly work?
500.
About 500 million, right? Give or take a few. 500 million people employed in doing something. Underemployed, unemployed, all put together are the age where they're supposed to work. How many of them are in jobs? So which means how many of them are in roles? And what I mean by jobs is somewhere where you get a monthly pay slip and you're covered on social security. Right? What is your estimate?
14 million, 12 to 14 million.
It depends. Is selling pakodas counted?
No. Because the guy doesn't get a paycheck every month and he has no social security. So that's why I put job. It is a job. But it's not the job that everybody aspires to. So one of the reasons why we hear government jobs coming over and over again is because there is security. Of the job, security of income and social security itself. So how many jobs you add everything, government, public sector, private, state government, everything put together, how many people receive a paycheck every month? It's about 7% of the 500 million. So it's about 3.5 crores. 3.5 crores. Right, about 17.5, 1.75 crores in the government public sector space and about 1.5 crores, over 12.5 million in the private sector. So we have in the country of 1.3 billion people, about 30 million people who earn a paycheck every month. Right? So the statistic is important to remember, as in this is the 7% of the organized sector, and this is I'm talking about the organized sector. There is semi-organized and unorganized sector, right? I'm talking about the organized sector where there are continuous year-long jobs that are available. The other big question, will technology create and destroy jobs? Right? We're seeing that all in the IT sector come out. The verdict is out there that in the short term there will be job losses, but in the long run, economy will adapt to the changes, people will learn new skills, and maybe there are other jobs that are created. But look at that, on 30 million jobs that exist, technology will, in my view, erode jobs in the short run. Automation will eat away a lot of the things that are existing. And we see that happening.
What is the percentage you're looking at?
I don't know, so the jury is out there. Okay? I've heard extreme views of saying that, hey, IT companies may double their revenue by halving the workforce. There's one extreme. Right? Versus somebody who's saying that, listen, there will be jobs. So I don't know, except that I think this is just the beginning.
But this is only in the urban areas, or is it even in the rural?
No, so what's going to happen is you take farm mechanizations.
Okay.
Right? So productivity will increase. Right? But people doing the jobs will not have anything more to do. I keep saying injection, draw the DNA samples out. Within 7 hours, if you ship it out to Korea, in 2 weeks you have exactly the same dog available at your doorstep. And they charge $20,000 for it. Okay? So I'm just putting, if you accelerate many of these, right? So the potential of medical with the progress, but ability for it to keep us healthy, to keep working is huge. So this is a completely different topic altogether. How many youth will enter the workforce in the next 10 years? What is the number of this? Clock has already started ticking from 2015 or 2014, 15, God knows when. Every year, every month, 10 lakh people enter the workforce. 1 million people enter the workforce. The number is 12 million people entering the workforce every year. That's not been disputed yet. Yesterday's economic survey also says that 12 million people enter the workforce every year. This is all put together, right? And look at another very interesting statistic, right? You know the RTE Act. The school enrollment now is 19.5%, right? So imagine every of these youth coming with degrees, coming with some certificate, coming with aspirations in their heart. And aspirations are all over the place, right? And I want to say play a very interesting video. So that's about 120 million, and that's going to continue to keep growing and adding, right? So I just want to pause here for a minute. If you observe this, 120 million entering the workforce in the next 10 years. The total jobs, then what do you want to be? So I've just compiled snapshots of, it's fascinating what they're saying.
Police inspector,
teacher,
auditor, contractor,
businessman.
Right? Zero schooling, no schooling. I specifically like the guy who said auditor. So I asked him, so where did you realize what an auditor is? He said, no, I was in a bus sitting next to somebody. So he asked me, what do you do? I also asked him. He said, I am an auditor. He said, so I asked him, what does an auditor do? The closest answer he gave was, I go ask questions to banks. Basically, he was going to audit a bank. He said, banks always ask me questions. Why can't I ask the bank a question? I want to be that guy. So he has no clue. He said, I want to be an auditor. So if you look at this, there is no correlation. Nobody says, I want to be a carpenter like my father. I want to be a farmer. Right? We did a survey, and that's another scary part. We did a survey of some 2,000 farmers last year. 93% of them said, I don't want my sons or daughter to be even close to agriculture. I want them to run away from my villages. Because there's nothing else to do. Because I have faced the hardships, I don't want my children to face the hardship. In a way, short term is good. I'm sure you all know the agriculture the challenge in the country, right? 55% of the people employed, of the 500 million people, are in farm-based work. And agriculture contributes to 14% of our GDP. So you have 55% of the workforce doing something that produces only 14% of the GDP of the country. We have a gross, more number of people working on the farm. So there has to be an off-farm, but you have to do something about it. So that's the other conundrum. This is an interesting statistic that I learned last year. We all assume that people are migrating to rural, from rural to urban. What do you think is the highest migration? Apparently rural to rural. It's 62% of the migration is rural to rural. In fact, Bombay, as a Greater Mumbai, saw a degrowth in the last census. So what's also happening in the census that came out in 2011 and subsequently is that towns are forming. So you have 6,500 census towns that are formed of 100,000 because a highway passes through it, and I've seen it in several of the villages I've gone to. People say, kuch nahi tha. This Prime Minister's Atal Bihari Vajpayee's Golden Quadrilateral project put a highway through the village. And because of the highway, activity started, and people from across villages, 100 kilometers, 50 kilometers, started aggregating in that town, and that town grew. From being 3,000-4,000 people, grew to 15,000, 20,000. And the census says that that is the larger migration, that people are coming closer, but they also want to stay closer home. Okay, this horror I have seen firsthand of urban migration, because several of the people we transformed, trained, said there's nothing to do in my village. I go, and so we found all of them jobs in coffee days, in big bazaars, everywhere else. Coffee days till now pays minimum wages. Till the recent minimum wages act changed. So they were paying 7,600 and some 34 rupees. Minus deductions, on hand you'll get 6,500 rupees. For a kid who has no support system in Bangalore to survive, minimum I've seen people spend is 9,000 to 10,000 rupees. Broadly, 3,000 to travel, because coffee day is somewhere in the city, you have to stay outside if you want accommodation. 3,000 on accommodation, 3,000 on food. So month on month, they start losing money. 3 months, 4 months, they say, hey, kuch se ho raha hai. The other job you'll get, maybe get you another 100 rupees more. There's nothing like, oh, 7,000, I'll start earning 15,000. And they go back. Unless until you have a support system in Chennai, some chacha, chachi, nana, nani staying, and you hang on somewhere there. There's no recourse here.
Point on your city to town migration. The only thing that's consistent, you said the development is US, France, so people moving out from downtown to suburbs. That's a pretty consistent pattern, do you think?
So what's happening is downtown to suburb is happening. In the US or any of the things, cities are developed. It's a much more vibrant economy, right? I mean, you go into the most sleepiest town, you will still find economic activity there. So what is coming out clearly from the surveys is that people are migrating towards where there is higher economic activity, right? But they are also migrating to a place where they can manage their expenses in such a way that it still leaves them some savings and not spending from their pockets. So basically, if you do the math, the only way to create jobs for 100 million youth is to stop migration, is to create opportunities in their villages, but nobody is out there giving offer letters to say, you do this for me. So the only way is to create entrepreneurs. So this logic I came to after 2-3 years of stumbling around, saying that we have to create job creators in rural India. This is the only way out to create jobs for these 100 million people. And I'm saying rural, not that all 100 million will come from rural, but 70% assuming that that's the population, around 70 million will come from rural. Right? So, period, we have to create job creators in India, whether it's rural or urban is secondary. Right? So that's the logic that drove us to arrive at what we do in OneBridge, and I'll come to that. But what I've also realized is people say, so how will you do job creation in rural? Right? Where is the talent? Where is technology? Where is infrastructure? What's happening? And I realized on all 4 counts, we have a surplus of things, so that's the good news. Right? And as Chandu was saying, might be repetitive for somebody, but I'll play this video. This is this was the epiphany moment for me. About 10 years ago, I met my partners in Headlight Foundation, Sunil and Rajesh, who came to me with an idea saying, can we all do rural BPO together? I said, great idea, but who's going to work there? Urban guys are not going to move. And coming from an assessment world, I said, listen, I struggled to find 3 guys for an Accenture BPO in Bangalore from 100 graduates out of St. Joseph's. Now you're talking about rural BPO, who's going to, where is the talent? They said, no, let's train rural youth. So I laughed, but 1% of me said, what if we try? What happens? So we said, let's try and experiment at the extreme of unemployability. So I said, we'll go to the villages and find the most unemployable youth they can ever define. And we defined that person as 18 years of age, never been to school, never held a pencil in their lives, works as a cowherd, so there's no skill, has never stepped out of the village, right, and has no skills to boot, and obviously comes from a very poor family. So we said, is it possible to take such a guy and transform him or her to be an English-speaking computer knowledge professional? So we went around to villages. Many villages were booted out because they thought we were into trafficking. And you go and ask you, send me your 18-year-old girls or boys and we will get them jobs in BPO. They said, Salah, Dubai bring you Dubai and sell them off. Right? Finally, but we found tons and tons of kids who meet this criteria in rural hinterlands of Karnataka. I'm sure that's there true everywhere. Finally, 8 kids and their parents were brave enough to say, okay, we'll do it. And we didn't have a plan. We said, send them to Bangalore, we'll put them up in a house, we'll start training them. And we don't know whether it's going to take 2 months, 5 months, 10 months, 3 years, God knows. But we said you shouldn't leave the program till it's over. And it's funny, I mean, our interviews, I still remember, and so Ramesh's interview, how do you interview a guy who doesn't know anything? So we say, tell me, my name is Ramesh, and the guy struggles for half an hour, can't pronounce any of these words. Rajesh did some crazy thing. So this guy said, no, I want to be in a training. This guy said, okay, you see those 3 guys there, go hit them and come. Let's see if you really want it. And we'll pack him up in our cars, and this guy came back saying, I picked up a fight, I hit one of the guys, they came running, they're running behind me, you better tell me whether I'm getting into the training or not. And we took him into the training program, right? So we took guys like this. So this is, Ramesh comes from this remote village called Kotigunda, which is 60 kilometers from Raichur. Raichur itself is back of the beyond, right? And Ramesh fits all the criteria I said. This is Ramesh on day 1 of his training. Just play the audio.
My name is Start Mari.
So Ramesh comes from a family of 12, 10 siblings, 2 parents, lives on an unarable 2-acre land. He picks groundnuts, earns 10 rupees a day. Entire family pulls in about 3,000 rupees a month. All put together. Ramesh, I think, is the third eldest, and he has 7 brothers, sisters. Never been to school, never held a pencil in his life. Has not stepped out of his village. So when we met him, he had not seen a train. He said, I've never been on a train. I've not seen a train. I've never stepped out of my village. So Ramesh and 7 others, 6 boys, 2 girls. We took them in a program, put them up in a house, and we hired a BPO trainer and said, okay, teach them English. The trainer vanishes during lunchtime. So when we finally reach him in the night, he gives us a earful. He says, are you guys mad? You're wasting my time. Hooligans, they don't even know what the city is, what a thing. How the hell do you expect me to train these guys? And we said 6 months they have to be ready. Right? And I have better things to do. So Rajesh and Sunil and a few others started living, and I was traveling extensively during that period of time. They started living with these guys and started creating a curriculum on the fly. Right? And started talking to a lot of people, and we created over a 7-8 month period something that we said will work. I came back in the 4th or the 5th month when I met these guys. My life changed because it's the same Ramesh. So it was a residential program, 16 to 18 hours a day. Even when they slept in the night, we used to keep the BBC radio on because we wanted that immersion to happen. Right? Even if they want to wake up in the night to go to the toilet or to drink a cup of water, they should listen to English. English was incidental, right? It was about their confidence. So you'll see the same Ramesh after 7 months. This is the same Ramesh that emerged from the program.
I'm Ramesh from Raichur. When I was in my village, I did not know how to write even my name in Kannada. In my village, I always wore dhoti. I never traveled on the bus. I did not know what's the time and what's the watch. I knew only 2 things: go to farm or sunrise, came back home or sunset. I had never visited a city. I did not know about city life. When I first came to Bangalore, I could not speak to anyone. And I also scared to touch a computer. When I started to learn in English, I was so scared because I did not know how to write ABCD. After the 7 months, I can type minimum at 40 words per minute. A month ago, I went to my village for my brother's wedding. My mother told me, please sir, come and have a seat. She did not recognize me. She asked, who are you? I told her, I am Ramesh, your son. Then I showed my ID card on which earlier photo was there. She looked at the photo for a while and hugged. And after the every moment she cried with the tears of happiness. I never can forget that experience. Thank you.
I still get goosebumps when I see this. This is almost 10 years ago. And what I realized as I was talking to Ramesh was 2-3 things. One, I was thinking, is there any test that could have predicted that Ramesh before will become Ramesh after? There's no test in the world that can ever predict that Ramesh before can become Ramesh after. Which means it's not the fault of the test. It means that this potential exists in everybody. It is just that some of us get an opportunity, some of us don't. Right? Professor Mohammed Yunus, when we interact with him very closely, he says beautifully, he says a lot of us die without knowing what treasures lie within. And this is a treasure that we provided an opportunity platform to come up. Right? The second thing that hit me was that, listen, if this is all it takes, but this intensity what it takes, why do we still send kids to school? Right? What happens in the schooling system that we are attempting to do here? It's a separate question altogether. The other thought was that, do you think you need do I need to prove you with the test that Ramesh has transformed? You just look at him. His mother didn't recognize him, he's transformed so much. So what I also realized is you don't need any proof of transformation. It's either there or not there. If it is there, it's visible. Right? What happened interestingly was, so we moved away from training to transformation, and this continues. In fact, I'll tell you the very inspiring story of Ramesh. So 4 years later, I mean, from the 9th month, this was the 7th month, 9th month, we had Deepak Satwalekar of the former CEO of HDFC Standard Life who came, met these guys, and threw us a challenge. He said, I'll give you insurance claims processing work, can you do it? Can you these guys do it? I said, give it. So we set up a BPO in Koppal, North Karnataka, set up 20 of these guys. These 8 started, we added another 20. And from the 9th month, these guys started doing insurance claims processing. 12th month, we were meeting the metrics that they were getting out of their Mumbai center. right? And these guys were typing furiously. In fact, it was so ironical that we continued to run the BPO 2 years ago till we shut it down. We were doing the HR exit process for Genpact. It was very ironical because whenever a graduate of Gurgaon quits Genpact, the termination letter was sent by a zero-educated villager from Tumkur. I think that was the HR exit. I said, this couldn't get better than this. Right? So we've tried all sorts of stuff. Ramesh moved along on the journey. He became a team leader. In fact, in 2011, we won the CNNIBN Real Heroes Award for this project, which Ramesh received on our behalf. And it's because they have a lot of fun. We do not say that it's learning. There are many times that they have tried to run away. The only definition that we found which is closest to why we succeed, why these kids succeed is, there's a wonderful research by a professor at UPenn, at the University of Pennsylvania Graduate School of Education called Angela Duckworth. She's done a research on something called as grit. Says every individual, be it an entrepreneur, be it a student, everybody succeeds because of grit, of your ability to hang on despite all odds and say the course. Right? And that I've seen in every kid, right? In the first 10 days when you say, hey, so from the moment they enter, they're not allowed to speak in any other language. So first 3 days, nobody's speaking anything. All they know is to say hi. So anything you say, they'll say hi. That's the only thing they know. But once they start building it up, the confidence starts building in, and they start having fun learning. It's a different world altogether, and they work extremely hard. Right? 16 hours a day, as I said, is the norm for many of our programs. So that model we have kind of perfected. The second one that I want to talk about is, okay, so you've got transformed youth, how will they become entrepreneurs? And I've again gone into several villages on just conversations. You just walk in and start talking to an entrepreneur, and I've anecdotal, there's no research yet, but anecdotally I've found that every entrepreneur in rural has far more resilience than an urban entrepreneur. Because they face a much more harsher condition trying to survive in that situation. Right? And some of the stories are heartening. This is a place called Gude, one of our entrepreneurs, one of our trainees, went back to his village after 4 years after working in a BPO, Baswaraj, and said, I want to open a grocery store. He did that. 2012, 2013, I think he contested the Zilla Parishad elections, became a councillor, and his two nephews and brother run the grocery store. So technically he's created 2 jobs. And he is now doing something in his village around this. Right? So if that's the entrepreneurial spirit that exists in several cases. Change makers as entrepreneurs. In fact, the favorite story that, not here, which I found was a big aha moment for me is I went to this place called in Gadag, about 50 kilometers from Gadag, a carpenter. He has the only 3-phase power in that village of 5,000 people. So I said, how do you get business? Was the question I asked him. You're alone. It's a scattered set of villages. There are only 10 sofas that your village can buy in a year. How do you survive? So I struggled with that question, and I have no resources. But he says, last 6 months I found out something, and I'm getting a steady stream of business. I said, what do you do? And what he told me blew my mind away. He said, when I make a piece of furniture, a pot or a sofa or whatever, they usually give me 200-300 rupees to put it on a tractor and send it to their homes. I gave the tractor full another 200 rupees and asked him to take the most circuitous route to get to that village. And I put my nephew on that tractor. I give him a drum and I just print out one Xerox saying that this is being delivered to so-and-so's house in this village. This costs so much. If you're interested, call me. So what he has figured out is the whole referral, word of mouth, plus they are able to see the product. Every delivery I do, I get 4 or 5 calls and I make 2 or 1 or 2 sales with that. Right? I was thinking, no B school will ever teach you this kind of a thinking, right? That is, crack that in a cost-efficient manner. So I argue that there's enough and more entrepreneurial spirit in rural. Again, a change maker who works in Rubanomicx, who's blind himself, called Pasha. And he runs a hostel for blind women. And he says, listen, I got hit by blindness. Why should I let others suffer? I find the spirit of the societal challenge very indomitable. So if you add entrepreneurial spirit to societal good, as we were talking about, the mixture can be very heady. Right? Largely technology. So again, a fascinating experience I had in a place called Jawahar near Mumbai. just 100 miles out of 100 kilometers out of 100 miles out of Mumbai. Jawahar is famous for something. Can you guess what? It's a type of art. Have you heard of the Warli art?
No, Warli, okay.
Okay, the Warli tribals come from Jawahar. This area is where the Warli tribals reside for the last how many hundreds of years. But they live in the most pathetic conditions. You can't imagine the impoverished state just 100 miles out of the most striking city we have in the country, right? So I went on a village route. This is the village that I visited. This is the main thoroughfare, about 250 houses in the village. Apparently their annual income is 25,000 rupees. Okay, you can't count it because they grow their food in the field, they eat it themselves. So there's a circular economy working there, but that's what they earn. Every indicator that you see is impoverished. Every kid looks malnourished. Every woman says, I don't have enough to eat, right? There's a school, Kalam Vihara is the road that you saw, there's a school there. Some 16 bright young kids with sparks in their eyes. And the beauty of it was they were taught by a very committed teacher who used to travel 50 kilometers just to get to that school and go back. So I asked one of the kids, give me a multiplication table. That a kid who's supposedly in 3rd or 4th grade stood up in Marathi and recited the 16 tables. I said, man, again, the potential exists, right? So the beauty of it was, as I was coming out, our driver lost the way. There is this youth who were loitering around. We stopped and said, how do we get to the Jawahar town? Right, we were in the village. This kid who's there, whips out his phone, pulls out Google Maps, and shows us the way on his phone. And I'm thinking, this is the irony, right? You're thinking you're hit by a village which is the most impoverished village I've ever seen in my life. And yet you have a kid who says, I'm on Idea 3G, right? And I can show you on Google Maps. So what is true is that penetration of internet is happening at a much faster rate, and people are, so this guy apparently his job is any problem anybody has with a mobile phone, I'm the one who takes it to the city, gets it repaired and come back. Right? So then he says, I asked him, how did you get to know this? When I go to the city, I keep chatting up with the guy, saying, Naya kya? And every time I go, he'll put some new app on my phone, teach me how to use it, and this was his latest that he had got. So what happens when you put all of this put together, but I'm saying, you take just smartphone. I keep arguing that none of us prepared ourselves for the smartphone. We all ran into it after it started becoming a phenomenon, right? But imagine IoT, imagine drones, imagine 3D printing, imagine the potential. If we start leveraging those models right now and figuring out what we can do, the magic that we can create in technology is phenomenal for social good. Right? Imagine that guy in Kalam Vihara being taught how to do sanitation, hygiene, what can you do in education, what can you use the phone to do better teaching skills, so on and so on. So if we leverage these guys to give them skills that equips them to deliver a service to the village, then the moment is magical. So, so therefore you could have variety of roles that does not exist today. A drone operator or a connectivity advisor, who hooks up an IoT network on an Android phone and on a field and tells the farmer, what's happening. So there will be many roles that will come up for youth like this, and that's where the power of technology has to leverage to create more jobs than to say jobs are getting lost, right? We talk about aspirations, right? The biggest aspiration driver I've seen is we in OneBridge are the largest service delivery partners for Amazon. We deliver about 350,000 packages for Amazon in 30 rural districts in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha every month. And every town we've gone to usually starts with 10-20 packets a day, and in 6 months we're hitting 500 packets a day. Because people are saying, now that you've been here, I also aspire for the same things. I also want the same access choice convenience that everybody else has, and I want it every day, right? So, one of the drivers that we are seeing is everybody is getting exposed to the same media. The same WhatsApp forwards that we get goes to everybody else. The same Facebook post that gets shared is read by everybody else in their languages. So the barriers of awareness has come down as far as aspirational goods are concerned, and aspirations of people are concerned, and they're watching for that. Right? So basically the model that we that we build. I may come to one bridge in a bit. The model that I'm saying, that we're saying is if you add talent, entrepreneurial spirit, technology, and aspirations of people, you get actually a new rural world which does not remind us of old rural. And that rural we call as rural. Right? And therefore, if you view a rural from a rural lens and say anything that I do in rural, how do I leverage these four factors? Anything that we do, how do I leverage, how do I play into the aspirations of people, how do I leverage youth, how do I engage them in an entrepreneurial way, and how do I use technology? Then we believe that a new business model can be constructed. It's not Manrega, which says that, boss, forget aspirations, go dig a ditch, I'll pay you 300 rupees a day. Which, okay, it is playing to one aspect of it, right? But it's not playing to the all, all of these four factors. So everything that we do in OneBridge is based on this hypothesis, that does it tick all four boxes? If it ticks, it'll work. If it doesn't tick, it won't work. Or the chances of success are lower. I'll give you an example of the Rubanomicx model in play. 2 years ago, we started working with MIT Media Labs. They have a device called iNetra. So you can actually get a refractive error reading done on a mobile phone using a harness without the bulky auto refractor equipment to a 19.5% accuracy. So we took the technology from iNetra. We had about 25 youth whom we trained as to operate that. We made them entrepreneurial, gave them the devices, and said, you go now screen people. Right? Your job is to go door to door and start screening these people. And we set up a supply chain with SLR to supply prescription glasses to their doorsteps. In about a year, we've screened about 100,000 people in Tumkur and Kanakpura districts. Discovered that 95% of them never got their eyes tested before. About 30,000 of them had reasonably good eyesight. About 40,000 of them needed spectacles, and the rest needed surgeries. So for the 40,000 who needed spectacles, these guys ended up selling 20,000 spectacles, roughly. And even though our lowest cost spectacle was 200 rupees and the highest was 1,000, right from day one, our average selling price was around 500 rupees. People are saying, now that you told me, I'm willing to buy a better one because you're giving me the convenience at the doorstep. So if you look at this model, we've used all the four elements: aspiration of a better health, better eyesight, aspiration with the youth leverage for the job, using a technology which is unavailable or which changes the way things work, and making them entrepreneurial. I didn't employ them to say, I'll pay you 6,000 salary. Your job is to deliver a service. By delivering the service, you'll make money. Each of our entrepreneurs made about 3,000 to 4,000 rupees consistently month on month. Okay, we had to stop it because I was unable to build other stacks on top of that. And that's where the learning has been, that you have to create more stacks and more opportunities and not just single trick ponies. Right? But that's the model of OneBridge, that we say that, therefore, if you look at it from the lens of Rubanomicx, so this is the Rubanomicx lens, that if you were to view it from a Rubanomicx lens, then there's a larger model that can be constructed. Right? So that's the that's the segue into what we're doing in OneBridge, where we've taken this and morphed it to a business, into a social enterprise.
So what if there are ideas that are like business-facing ideas? They
Yeah.
don't rely on technology. They're the same formula still.
Like which one?
Like you said about farm mechanics. Like
Yeah.
Suppose there's a guy who has an interesting idea of how the farming can be done differently.
Sure.
And he's a consultant for all the farmers in that area.
Sure, absolutely. But that guy can still use technology, right?
He can or he may not.
May not. The only part we are seeing is technology can be a force multiplier. If you, for example, I could have still done the screening. Without technology, I could have lugged around the auto refractor equipment, but it would have taken me about 30 minutes to do the reading with 70-80% accuracy because the guys are not trained. What technology enabled to do was they were taking it on a backpack. They were able to do the screening in 8 minutes with 19.5% accuracy. So it's possible to do that without the technology element, but I'm saying if we start imagining what technology can do, then we can accelerate the whole progress.
You haven't touched upon from where's the buying power of the economy coming in?
Exactly. So I'll come to that, right? Let me just switch and take 10 minutes to, I want to show the OneBridge presentation. What we are seeing is actually, before I make into the thing, so let me tell how we stumbled onto the buying power. Said, why should a consumer go to the mall? Why can't the mall go to the consumer? So 100 of our entrepreneurs carry cheap cardboard headsets. 100 is very sticky. Customers love it. People are coming back for more. We are actually now launching an AR to engage with products better.
You think you can sell jewelry? Yeah. He will give you.
Gold is a double-edged sword in
Right, sir?
possible.
Interesting.
Right? So that's the one bridge story where we are saying that at the intersection, if you do this, then there's a lot of model that you have. This is one of our villages, Mudigere village. There's no bus that goes to the village. 16 kilometers from Tumkur. No bus. This is the village town square. 3,000 people in the village. Our entrepreneur is there. We organized test drives for the first time ever. In the village, we had Yamaha come. And I'll give you a mindset issue. This is what shook me about 6 months ago. We started working with Tata Motors. So the dealer, Tata Motor dealer, has been there for years in Mysore. So he said, sir, test drive we want to do. He said, no problem, take a Nano. They have enough Nanos, you take a Nano, they'll buy a Nano. We took the Nano to Mandya, 21 villages, 2 test drives. People threw us out of the villages. People said, what old cars you're getting here? Get me something new. Don't try and get cars that are not selling. And don't make us think that you'll, we are all sitting here with, as I say in Kannada, I say, well, am I sitting with flowers in my ears just to believe whatever you say. So promptly went back to the dealer and told them that first nobody is willing to take a Nano. So around the time Tiago had got launched. So we said, can you give us the Tiago? This guy was very reluctant. He says, well, I have only 2 test drive Tiagos. If I give you one, what will happen in Mysore? All that. We convinced him. Same villages, 78 test drives. There was a celebration in the village. Many of the village elders said, this is the first time ever that any new thing has come into our village. And 4th day, one order for Tiago from one of the villages in Mandya. This guy was shocked. He says, I never knew that village existed. I've been in this region for 80 years. Who was this guy who was buying a Tiago? So what I learned from that lesson, we prejudge customers, especially rural, thinking that I will tell you what you want. What we heard from the village really the lesson was, whether I buy a Nano or a Tiago is my choice. Don't think just because I'm a village I will go with a Tiago. You showcase the choices to me. What I buy, give it to me. Right? So give me the choices, which was a very clear message. So we provide choices. In Mudigere alone, our entrepreneur has sold 6 bikes, 14 mobiles, 1 car, 6 home appliances in just 2 months.
These are still agriculture belts, right?
Largely agriculture belts. About 70-80% farmers.
That's the core revenue.
That's the core revenue stream. The other part which comes to future of jobs, it is now fashionable to talk of the gig economy. Rural has been gig ever through. A farmer will be doing farming, his son will be doing some grocery store, his daughter will be doing some, wife will be doing some sewing, knitting, whatever. So the family is trying to figure out how do I use my time and resources I have to maximize income for this thing. So very rarely have we seen people doing one thing. They will always have some side business. Somebody will be doing real estate, broking, whatever opportunities comes. Right? Which was the Future of Jobs report. If you Google, you work very closely with Arun Myra. The clear future that is coming to is there won't be any sustained employment ever. People will work in gigs, people will work on 6-7 jobs. They'll finish a task, go out, finish a gig, get out. Right? So that's what the future portends. So this guy, our entrepreneur there, Raghu, who's there in the center, has earned in that month, he earned about 8,500 rupees. Now his expense in that month is less than 1,000 rupees. So to get the same 7,000 rupees savings in a Bangalore or a Chennai, he has to earn 20,000 rupees. That's the power that we're trying to build. And this is just not on sales alone, right? Now, we're doing insurance. We've just partnered with M-Swipe. One of the issues we realized was ATMs are not available. The other statistics which stunned me with the Joint Secretary of Rural Development, the budget for Manrega, roughly?
35,000.
About 45,000 crores. 45,000 crores is what the government spends every year on Manrega. 5 years ago, everything was cash. Last the statistics of October, guess what percentage of transfers of direct transfers into bank accounts? 97.5%. 97.5% DBTs. So people have cash in the money in the bank, but they don't know where to draw it from. So we just partnered with M-Swipe, where Raghu is now having an MPOS machine, and he acts as an ATM in the village. You need cash, you come swipe the card, I'll give you cash, and the cash hits his bank account the next day. So all he has to do is keep 1,000 or 2,000 rupee float, and he can dispense cash. So the other thing is, which if this works, which is what Nandan had said almost 4-5 years ago, ATMs will become defunct. I can take money from you, you can take money from somebody else. Right? In a way, Paytm has made that happen as well. Yeah. So the opportunities are phenomenal, and there are many challenges which can be solved, right? So basically, if you can think of bringing access, choice, and convenience, not just for products, but for services, healthcare, education, financial access, energy access, mobility access, there's enough, but more that can be done. And the other thing which we are very cognizant about, which we'll get to, is that it's not a consumption-based economy, we have to do production-based economy as well. Right? So imagine using the same bridge to say, hey, you've got oranges. Can I take a photo, upload it? Can I send it to Big Basket and say, hey, these are available right now, can I ship it directly to you? That creates again more incomes in the villages, you're connecting them. So that concept of one bridge is how do you connect these dots together. So that's the connector. So our mission is to be the connector. And we talk of the wheel of abundance. So how do you create awareness, how do you create experience, engagement, transaction, fulfillment, support, the whole 9 yards in this model across each of these sectors, right? So we built the brand. OneBridge is a known brand. There's a missed call number. We do a lot of rallies in the villages to create awareness. Many of our villages, we operate in about 1,000 villages. We have 550 entrepreneurs in 1,000 villages now in Karnataka. 275 men and 275 women. In every village, we ensure that there's a male and a female entrepreneur so that we can touch the households. So our dream is in the next 5 years, if you're in 300 districts, each district having 200 entrepreneurs each, 100 male and 100 women. We have 60,000 entrepreneurs, and each entrepreneur touches 1,000 households. The combination of male to women, we'll have 30 to 40 million households whose voices we understand, whose ability for us to provide services. And not just this, we will not just partner with the Scholarship Giving Foundation to find out one girl child in every village who scored well in 10th standard. And this organization has said, hey, we will provide scholarships to 500 of these kids. Right? So you can bring in abundance to the village in many ways than one. So that's how we call it